Hi guys, in this review I'll be checking out the Carpuride W701 Plus. This is another portable car stereo display that is also my first portable car display that actually has an Android operating system installed onto it. So rather like the AI boxes that we've been seeing for existing CarPlay displays that are already in the car, if you have any car that doesn't have CarPlay, you can run this, as well as wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and on top of that it will have an Android operating system that will allow you to run certain apps such as Spotify, YouTube, and probably lots of others. So this video will be a lot longer than your standard CarPlay display because it does have an Android platform, and that involves going a little bit deeper in terms of the type of functionality that you can actually do with it. Okay, let's first see what's inside the box. Okay, here's what you get inside the box. You get a quite thorough user manual that tells you how to get everything all up and running. You have the W701 Plus display itself. There are two mounting options. You've got a windscreen and dashboard mount, and there is a flat plate mount here which is rigid and solid, and that offers just a more basic but a bit more sturdier way to mount the display on your car dashboard. You get a 12-volt adapter to a DC in adapter, so it's not a USB-C powered in any way. Unfortunately there's no USB pass-through either on the adapter. Next there is a mounting plate that allows you to mount this a little bit more permanently to the adjustable mounting arm. You have the attachment bracket for the back of the display, and you get a rather long auxiliary cable with a right angle joint on one end and a straight line on the other. Okay, so let's have a look at the display itself. It is a 7-inch display in diagonal. It does have some rather chunky bezels on each side, which is a bit less pro, if I'm honest. It would be nice if it was a bit more edge-to-edge display these days. Some Carpuride branding on the bottom there, and the whole thing has some sort of nice curved edges to them. There's a microphone input hole on the bottom there, and it's an IPS display with 1024 by 600, so you should get quite a few icons there on CarPlay specifically. Although it is 7 inches diagonal of the display itself, width wise it is 19 centimeters wide by 11 centimeters high. On the sides there it has quite a thin profile but a thicker back which contains all the circuitry inside. There's a mounting section here on the back to attach it to the various mounts that you get with it. No camera on the back here on this one. Some ventilation holes and probably where the speaker is going to come from. Up top there is a power button to turn the display on and off. There's a reset hole there, so you need to reset the whole operating system. Nothing on the right hand side, but on the left hand side you have all the I/O ports. First you have DC in to power the screen at the very bottom. Then you've got USB-A port for connecting to media. You've got an AV output port for the auxiliary input in your car stereo if it has one. There's cam in if you've got the version of this display that comes with a rear view camera. There's a TF card slot there, again for media playback potentially, as well as storage of Android apps. Then you've got an auxiliary mic in if you have to separately connect in a separate microphone, or if you don't want to use the one that's on the front of the display, you want something a little bit nearer to you. The USB-A port provides 10 watts, so not too bad for charging of your phone should you not have a USB port in the car to charge from once you've got the 12-volt adapter plugged into it. The speakers inside is just 2 watts, so it's not going to really blow your socks off. Okay, let's get this powered up and see how well it works. Right, so we're into the operating system here. Quite a relatively long boot time, but that's pretty much similar to the non-Android OS portable displays. You have a side dock here on the left with 5 icons, and it's now asking us for what language that we want to choose. And then here we are on the home screen. So classic AI box scenario really. So you've got time, you've got a music player of sorts, quite a small one. You've got some common apps to access files, watch your audio transmission, quick access to MirrorLink and your Bluetooth functionality should you just want to use audio from your phone via Bluetooth and not have to go through CarPlay or Android Auto. Quick links to Android Auto and a couple of shortcuts to some pre-installed Android apps, as well as accessing the current apps that have been pre-installed already, which you've got YouTube, Google Search and Chrome browser, Spotify. You've got phone link for wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, quick link to the Google Play Store, file manager, audio out, which I assume is another way to select which audio connection you're going to use for the output of the audio, and settings, which I'm assuming you're going to go to the Android settings, all but a little bit muted perhaps, access Wi-Fi and get things working through either your phone mobile connection should you wish to pair this up with a hotspot of your phone, or if you've got an internal Wi-Fi connection in the car you can use that for this display, and you can get internet apps or access to the display from that connection as well. There's no SIM card support, so you are forced to use a wireless hotspot or Wi-Fi connection of sorts. You won't be able to put a data SIM in there either. It comes with 32 gigabytes of storage, and obviously you can upgrade that with a TF card or a USB drive that's inserted. But we'll get this connected to our Wi-Fi first, because otherwise it's a little bit dumb. Right, so we're connected to Wi-Fi now. It's populated the time. So at the top here, you don't really have much access. You can't pull down as you can do on some AI boxes. But over on the left here, you've got your app switcher, and you can also quit out apps as well to save on memory. Quick access to a kind of systems settings section, so you can quickly go to Wi-Fi, turn it on and off if you've got to switch between Android apps and CarPlay or Android Auto wirelessly. You've got different Bluetooth transmissions, as well as screen controls, whether you want to turn the screen on and off, turn on a screensaver, how much you want the brightness to be controlled, and whether you want auto day and night options. It's got a camera option, but obviously that means that we don't have the dash camera to switch over to, but that's what that option would be for. So Bluetooth at the top here, you have access to the Bluetooth manager, so you can actually have multiple devices connected to this, and you can toggle between them, as well as access phone storage and calling from your phone that's connected. Here are native options for audio. You can have the native audio that's actually in the speaker itself. Auxiliary output, FM output. You've got Bluetooth transmission as well, so you can actually have your phone cast Bluetooth to your car stereo as well. So they are your audio options. Quick access to files, should you have anything locally stored on the 32 gigabyte of storage that you've got, or whether you've got a TF card or USB media stick plugged into the display itself. Here you can manage, copy and paste and move it around various areas. And a quick toggle to turn the display on and off. Tapping the music player will take you to this section here to quickly access any sort of playing music via Bluetooth, or if you're playing music from a TF card or USB media stick. So let's quickly try things like YouTube now that we're connected to the internet. A floating menu button has popped up, so that menu doesn't persistently stay there, give you a full screen experience. Tapping it can give you access to the volume slider, change the volume, change the brightness, go home or go back within the app. So for mirror link, you just simply connect to the Wi-Fi output of the display itself, and then you can then play back media from your phone to the display itself. The issue I do find with displays of this size, it's very similar to your phone size anyway. Even if you've got a iPhone Max or a bigger phone, I don't really see the point in mirroring to a display size this small. But if you do want to have a shared experience around the screen, then that's potentially a possibility here. But you will have to tether from your phone to the display, so you can't really run simultaneously with things like CarPlay, for example. So CarPlay and Android Auto seem to be using the Phone Link app, and here you can toggle between the two. Here you can actually choose between Android Auto and CarPlay. You can scan these QR codes to get a little bit of extra help on your connection and how to get things connected. So now we're connected to the internet. So I fired up Spotify. So just one speaker from the back that's operational through that grill at the back. And you can play your tracks from the Wi-Fi hotspot using the Spotify app that's pre-installed on the display itself. And going home, it doesn't play on the player itself. So that area is basically for connected media, such as TF card or USB drive. So searching for certain apps on the Play Store aren't available, such as Netflix and Disney Plus. Things like Prime Video and iPlayer and various games, they're on the store, but for certain copyrighted type apps, such as video streaming apps, they do seem to not be available on these displays or Android AI boxes. But to get around that, you can go to the Google Chrome browser and go to apkmirror.com, and from here you can search for Netflix, download a recent sort of non-beta version, and then download. We open from the browser, and with no Sideloading app to sideload the app onto, you're basically forced to use the file manager. So let's see if that works. So we allow installing from Chrome. That's Netflix installed via the file manager, and that's us signed in to Netflix. So the side dock is quite persistent over any new app that you install. So let's try YouTube again. You can see you do have split screen support, and YouTube seems to be working again now. Time or whilst you're waiting for your EV to charge. So that's good. Audio's in sync on the speaker at least, so that's a good sign. Let's try some games. Alright, so it's not very good for games. The responsiveness isn't there. So the CPU is quite lightweight. So generally I wouldn't put this down as a good display for gaming unless it's really, really lightweight gaming. 2D stuff rather than 3D stuff. Spotify takes a little while to get in there, but once you're in there, you can play Spotify natively in the Android app on the actual display itself. Obviously you will need to tether it with your mobile phone anyway, so you might as well play it through CarPlay or Android Auto. Music does play in the background though, so that's good to see. And you've got Prime Video. That seems to work off the Play Store. If you've got an Amazon Prime Video account, you can sign into here and play through your Prime Videos. So for YouTube streaming, this is quite a good display. There's not that much audio lag, at least on the speaker itself. We will have to test that on the car speaker and see if the FM transmission, Bluetooth and auxiliary causes any more delay in that. So let's check out CarPlay. So we're going to go to our iOS device here, go to Bluetooth, and we look for the Carpuride. So it's 4 zeros to pair. That is nice and quick. So we're in CarPlay now. This is our wireless CarPlay. We're not using wired at the moment. I'd say it's a little bit not that responsive. It's taking a little while. Doesn't seem fluid. Let's go into maps, do a little wiggle. I'd say it does seem a little bit washed out on the display. That seems to be playing out okay. Plays in the background as well. Hello?
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 Okay, quite a bit of lag in the phone recording or calling delay, at least to the Android device anyway. There was at least over 2 seconds, so that can be quite an obstruction for when you're communicating over the phone. Okay, let's try Android Auto. So we fire up Bluetooth, fire up a device. Okay, we're in. Again, very quick, probably the quickest I've seen on the display. And we're into Android Auto. Slight squashed on the icons here, but not significantly squashed. I would say it's very on par with CarPlay. They were slightly squashed as well. So the display ratio is not 1-to-1 as such. But this seems responsive enough. About 2-second delay on the audio there and interactions. And this seems pretty responsive as well. We'll just do a call test.
Hello?
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 Okay, Android Auto is much better on the calling front with this display. It's a bit odd that CarPlay is quite laggy, but Android Auto is fairly responsive. It's got a very fast connection to it, and as well as using it as well. And overall, good for Android Auto users. Let's just go back to CarPlay just one more time. Okay, we're back in CarPlay now. Yeah, it's a lot longer to navigate music at the moment. Let's try calling one more time. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, so at least 2-second delay there, so that is kind of a bit of an issue for iOS users. Okay, so that's the basic features of the W701 Plus from Carpuride. I'm going to jump in the car now and just show you how this all mounts together into the car itself and how it integrates with the audio system that's existing in the car as well. Okay, so see you over there. Right, so we're in the car and we've got our Carpuride W701 Plus here, ready to go. With the screen mount pre-installed, we're going to install it onto our screen here and have it floating or resting on the dashboard here, which I seem to think is the best experience. They've got a nice, almost a nano material tacky surface, much better than the more plastic ones that we normally see. This is going to really adhere to the windscreen. Then we have it all easily installed. We've got our power cable that's connected to the side here. That's where all the ports are. Microphone at the front, and we've got it mounted onto the windscreen at the top there. Alternatively, you could actually use the fixed mount if you've got a nice flat surface somewhere to put the mount onto, but I find that really only works for a lower dashboard because you can't really have it facing down at you that much. It's only sort of vertical or backwards, so it has to sit quite low. But you do have the opportunity of using a bracket similar to this or any air vent vent sort of mount, but it has to be quite sturdy. And using the adapter that does come with this display as well as an option, and you could basically attach that to the mount and then have it floating off your air vents instead. It's quite a lightweight display, so it's not going to put too much stress on your air vent blades. So we're going to take the other end, which is this. It sadly doesn't have USB pass-through on here. We're going to plug that into our 12-volt socket down the bottom, and then we're going to fire it up. So that's the display up and running. It's a nice display. It's got slight reflection because of the glossy screen, but it's not too bad at the moment. It might be a different story if it was a bit more sunnier in the UK today, but everything is nice, easily tactile and reachable from the display mounted in the middle of the console here. You can see that I've installed a couple of apps already. Disney Plus, things like that wouldn't work. I had to download Netflix and install that onto the actual display itself through the File Manager app.
Yeah, the question will be asked of how much it will affect the team.
So obviously from the speaker and Netflix app running on it, sync is all nice and good. So we've got a nice little test there of lip sync, so we can actually see how well that works over the car speakers. So we're going to go into our radio settings. We're going to go into FM, and we're going to go to 105.8 megahertz. And then we're going to go onto the display here, go into audio transmission, and then we're going to go from native audio, which is the speakers, to FM audio. We're going to turn that on. We're going to go into more settings, set this to 15.8. That is now done. We're going to save that current state. We're going to go back, and we're going to go back into Netflix. Now, there's a slight hiss, but it's not too audible. I do have it fairly loud, so I'm going to turn that down a bit. I'm going to press play.
And with this kind of a gut punch, yeah, the question will be asked of how much it will affect the team this season.
All right, so FM, good quality, stereo, and there's very little interference from FM. You can see that the lip sync is totally fine as well on Netflix on the display. We'll just jump into YouTube. I would say that's between 100 and 200 milliseconds, which is actually quite reasonable. Again, over FM, this is YouTube being played. And if you've got a Premiere account, you could actually download some of the content onto the display, and you don't have to necessarily use an internet connection for it at the moment. At the moment, we are connected to my home Wi-Fi, so it's a little bit quicker, but you would have to, whilst you're on the move, connect it to your phone Wi-Fi hotspot, or you have to share mobile data with the display to get internet onto the Android apps that are installed on the display itself. We'll just check out Spotify as well for the audio. Okay, that all sounds good as well. I quite like that. It's very responsive, sounds great as well. Very impressed with FM transmission at the moment. Okay, so let's try auxiliary. So here we have the auxiliary cable here. I'd say it's relatively long. I'd say it's probably 1.2, 1.5 meters. Plenty enough to get to a auxiliary port. So we're now on wireless CarPlay. You can see it's relatively decent and responsive. So that is all good to see. I'd say the screen is slightly washed out compared to some other displays. This could be the technology. It is definitely colourful, but some of the map tiles in the last 3 apps I just tried, they do look a little bit flat and not so colourful as my CarPlay display is down below. But let's just try an audio test. Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com, and this is a audio test using the Carpuride W701 Plus. And this is an audio test, hopefully with that microphone there. Okay, that doesn't sound too good, too hot. I'm not quite sure what's up there. It could be a number of things actually, but the audio is not brilliant, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with CarPlay. Let's try VLC. I've put in a TF card into the side there with some movie test samples. Got a couple of trailers here.
We are no Jedi.
So that's good. It's all in sync, but again, even though I've told it to be on top of everything, this side menu is always in the way, unfortunately, and you will get that with apps that aren't pre-installed. But it sounds good, it's all in sync, sounds great on auxiliary. So we've done native, auxiliary, and FM. We now do Bluetooth transmit. So to do that, there's 2 ways of doing it. We can do BT projection, or we can do a display to Bluetooth device. So we'll try that first. So we're going to turn it on, then we're going to go into more settings to connect to the car display. So we're going to change our source down here to Bluetooth audio. Our Bluetooth status is open. We're going to scan for known devices, and our VW has been popped up here. We're going to go to VW and select. It's asking us to pair with the display, which we have. Pairing successful. We're going to allow everything. So now we're connected. You can hear the display and coming through this as well, which is a little bit awkward. So let's just try see how that works. So this is only going to work if your car stereo has Bluetooth audio input, and then you'll pair the display with your car stereo basically over Bluetooth. We've got a double audio going over at the moment, so we're going to go in here and go into FM volume and turn that.
Yeah, the question will be asked of how much it will affect the
You can
team.
change the effect of the volume here. That's now gone from the display, so we're not getting that double audio.
Yeah, the question will be asked of how much it will affect the team this season.
Okay, that's good. Sounds good. Bluetooth is in sync with the car stereo, no delay. That's really good as well. Impressive. Obviously, we don't have to have this auxiliary cable now. Can't seem to connect to the Bluetooth source. We are connected, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work too well with my system. Let's turn this off and turn it back on again, because sometimes that might work. Okay, so we're back in, transmitting via Bluetooth. Okay, so we're back in, it's working again. That is a little bit frustrating. It's not as seamless and intuitive or reliable in terms of getting the Bluetooth connection. But now that we're in here and it seems to be working, I can control the display from my car stereo plus and minus. If I use my controls, yep, I can go forward and back in controls as well, which is quite cool. Netflix and YouTube all working fine pretty much. We can do YouTube and see if we can actually navigate with the wheel controls as well. So for example, if I go into a playlist, and a popular question I always get, that's all in sync as well. If I go right, it does go to the next playlist track, so you can actually play some music through the playlist, and the audio is going to be pretty decent as well, I think. So that's all good. Let's just see how that works with CarPlay then. So it's telling us to change the way it works. So instead of connecting the display to the car system, it's going to go via my phone. So we need to change this to BT projection, turn this on, and then on for CarPlay, connect to CarPlay, and now we're into CarPlay. So now if we play music back, it'll come from the screen. So if I now go into Bluetooth for my phone and connect to my iPhone 15 here, and I'm going to allow the Bluetooth connection to this display. So I'm not getting the audio.
A few moments later.
Right, so that took a little bit of trial and error, but now that I have CarPlay running, playing back, Bluetooth from my phone to the display. So if I use my wheel controls, I can now change the tracks on the display via my phone, with the audio going via my car stereo and my phone. Very complicated to understand, but if you've got a Bluetooth stereo, your phone connects to the stereo, the display is connecting to your phone, and that's pretty much all you need to know. And that allows you to use your wheel controls and go from there. Sounds good. It's just that it wasn't a seamless experience. So if I turn this off now and let the display go, let's see if everything reconnects. So CarPlay and audio. So we're into the main menu interface. So at the moment my phone's connected to the display in the car for Bluetooth audio. This hasn't fired up though, so I'm going to connect to CarPlay, pair to its Bluetooth, use for CarPlay. So one thing about this display, the CarPlay is very quick, but now I've lost, because it's dropped the audio Bluetooth. Yeah, it's a little bit hit and miss, I think, with the Bluetooth connection on this display, sadly. So I'd say if you are looking for Bluetooth, I think that's a little bit frustrating, but if you've got auxiliary or FM transmission, then I think this display is actually quite decent. No, it's not really working all too well, really, again, on Android via Bluetooth. So I would class as Bluetooth not really that fit for use with this display at the moment, at least in my car. Your experience might vary with your display and your car system if it uses Bluetooth. This retails for $239.99. So my only frustration is that it does use Android Layer, and that just adds a little bit more complexity with the hotspots, and at that point you're getting very much close to a Android tablet, for example, and just plugging in the tablet into your car, or letting the tablet Bluetooth to your car stereo might be a better option. Yes, you are getting lots of car related functionality here, but as well as CarPlay and Android Auto. But if you are after those Android features or apps, you probably get a better experience through a tablet. But it is a nice display. It sounds good as well through auxiliary FM transmission and Bluetooth if you can get that working. It's just that it just stumbled a little bit, and it does lose connection between the two. Your phone, for example, if you're using CarPlay or Android Auto. So personally, I would probably stay away from Android OS based displays. It does overcomplicate it a bit. Personally, I just like the more simplified version that isn't Android based. But if you are looking for that, this actually is not a bad display, but I would hesitate if you are using this with a Bluetooth audio connection either to the display or via some other means. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. Leave us a like down below and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this display from Carpuride. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.